PlayStation had a state of play with 20-some minutes of Final Fantasy 16 footage, basically a huge extensive trailer breaking everything down. I did not watch it, and I don't intend to watch it. I'm done seeing 16 stuff. I was sold, like, at the Game Awards trailer. I don't need to see any more of it. If anything, their marketing is excessive. If you want to know what 16's about, you will be able to find out, especially after that event. I sure hope people who are watching every inch of the marketing don't feel like they've seen everything already. If you don't want to be spoiled, don't watch marketing at this point. I would highly recommend for people who want to get like the full experience to be blown away by the spectacle. In general, when it comes to gaming marketing, don't fucking salivate and, you know, rush to see every new piece of information if you want to have like the most authentic experience in surprises, right? But, you know, if you don't particularly care and you want to see what the game has to offer before you purchase it, go for it. But I did see a general tone shift on my timeline after that event, and it seemed like it really showed the best of what 16 has to offer to people, and I'm super stoked either way. They want 16 to be the game to get people back into after how mixed 13 and 15 was for everyone. Oh, definitely. We haven't had ooze in a while. Aurora! Getting back to the, they're trying to get back people who felt burned from 15 and 13. Absolutely. I got Yoshi P. I've talked about this a few times with some of his interview questions or answers. Yoshi P has such a pulse on the general gamer discourse in the Final Fantasy fandom, just because he relied on it so much to address the issues in 14 when they were rebuilding it and fixing it. He is well aware of what the inner circles and discourse of the gamers are saying, and definitely picked up on people's disappointment and problems with 13 and 15. And Yoshi P seems so eager to get those people back and try to be like, you don't understand. This is different this time around. All right, this ain't like those other Final Fantasies. This is a new Final Fantasy. You know, they've really, really, really tried hard to hit it home with people that like, you please try this. Like, come on. From the sound of it, they seem so incredibly confident in their product, and rightfully so. Like what we've seen of 16, regardless if you jive with the setting or the combat, you gotta admit it looks like a polished thing. It looks cool. It looks like it's got a lot of time and effort and energy put into it. It does seem like a brand new Final Fantasy through and through, right? So I think for them, it's just like trying to get the word out to people that like, this is going to be different. We are confident, and we know we made a good game. I've seen some interesting opinions on 16 already. Truly, I like the sticking thing for the real-time combat. I didn't think would be that divisive. It is for some reason. Weirdly enough, people seem more angry that 16 is real-time than 15 being real-time. Seemed like when 15 was, out and about and being promoted and stuff, people seemed like, yeah, we're willing to give like the real-time combat a shot. There was still some discourse around it. I seriously see more people angry at 16 being real-time than 15 being real-time, which I find very odd. I'm shocked that people are still stuck on that. They got the DMC5 developers for the gameplay. On top of that, all right, let me add on to this. Just so, get the word out there to people. Not comfortable playing action games? You'll be able to begin 16 equipped with several accessories that simplify gameplay to let you focus on the game's story elements. I like these kinds of features, all right? It's a form of accessibility and also a way to kind of help people stay engaged who may not be able to click with the gameplay. When you have these certain items on, they do show up as little icons on the health bar, so you always know who's playing with the little helpful abilities and who isn't. So that's a nice little visual indicator for people who are like streaming it or whatever, right? Here they are. They're very faint up here in the top, but you can see these little icons here will indicate if you have these help features on that streamline the combat and make it, get more story based. And that's great. This is a feature. This is an option. I will be playing it like, a standard action game. I want to get into the thick of this combat. It looks fun and flashy as fuck. It's literally the opposite problem of people who get pissy at games for being turn-based games. Yeah, seriously. There's no shortage of turn-based games. That's also a thing I don't understand. And people like, they don't make turn-based games no more. They did. They just made Octopath Traveler 2. If you want a traditional turn-based game, that game apparently is getting glowing praise, published by a AAA studio, and it has turn-based. Persona, the entire series is still turn-based. Like, what are you talking about? Yakuza 7. Yakuza 7 went to beat 'em up to turn-based. Where is this coming from? It's not like there hasn't been a modern turn-based game in the last, 10 years. They're still around. It's a preference thing for me. It is a preference thing. Like, I understand people having an affinity towards action games over turn-based and vice versa, but just acknowledge it's a preference thing and not a fundamental design problem with the game. Come on. I'm glad I don't have a horse race in this. I like both turn-based and real-time. Well, same here. Like, if 16 was turn-based, I'd be like, cool. It's not though, and I'm still like, cool. Here's a good example. What if Jak and Daxter was revived to become a turn-based RPG series to appeal to a new audience? Cool, they're trying new things. Again, I'm willing to try. It seems like more of a abrupt example just because it's not like Final Fantasy is suddenly pivoting towards real time. It's been gradually getting to this point for several iterations. They haven't had a traditional turn-based game in well over a decade. If this was completely out of the blue, the series had been traditionally turn-based this entire time, then I would be like, okay, what the fuck? I'd still give it a chance, but I'd also be in that camp of what the fuck happened, but that's not what's happened. We've had the ATB system that kind of got things rolling. What about World of Final Fantasy? Even more claimed as just like acting like turn-based is this like abandoned thing that's never, it's like World of Final Fantasy exists, that was turn-based. There is no rule, and there has never been a rule saying that Final Fantasy must be turn-based. I think that's just a made-up concept in people's mind, and they're holding it against 16 for some reason. And I'm like, okay, that's the thing, is that I can understand if it was a hard pivot, but it's not a hard pivot. It's just so odd that this is still a point of contention for people. Also, where were the turn-based naysayers when Final Fantasy VII Remake went away from that? Well, there were. I vividly remember this at the reception, them dropping the information that, okay, we're splitting up into parts and we're changing the combat system to a more real-time system, and then they dropped that and then left, and then people had years to speculate on what was how was this thing going to turn out. 7 Remake was another fantastic example of people having this fear of getting away from real time, and then 7 comes in, bursts down the door and being like, we're gonna have the best of both worlds and you're gonna love it. And we did love it, because 7 Remake's combat system was universally praised for being faithful while still having a real-time flair. If you play 7 Remake like an action game, you're gonna get fucking smacked into the ground. But if you play it like a strategic game, like a more strategic turn-based game, with a dash of action in there, it's a fantastic hybrid system. And I'm super excited to see more systems like 7 Remake be implemented in the future. I would like that system to be a general standard moving forward. I'm fine with pure action, but I thought 7 Remake was a great example of defying expectation, of people being like, oh no, they're changing the turn-base, they've ruined it, and then they create a hybrid system that plays into the strengths of the original while having modern action flair, and giving people buttons to mash and everything like that. Anyway, I don't want to keep ragging on it too hard. I'm just not looking forward to when 16 does release. We're just going to keep hearing this thing, and I'm just like, it's a preference thing, okay? Yeah, it's not turn-based. Can we talk about the actual mechanics now? It's like, that's kind of where I want to get with folks. I'm really tired of just kind of dwelling on this non-situation of they're getting rid of turn-based in Final Fantasy as if that's a thing that has never happened before, and like, there's no turn-based games no more when there are. What are these large, broad-reaching statements that we're just taking as gospel now? I don't know. So yeah, Final Fantasy 16, it has options to accommodate people who don't care to engage with action combats. Please consider that if you are interested at the very least in experiencing the game, and turn-based is not your thing, there are options for you. Or not turn-based, excuse me, action, real-time action aren't your thing. If turn-based is your thing, consider playing 16, because there are options for you.